So I wanted to talk about modes a little bit. In Harmony 3, we've been talking about modes basically as they relate to chord scales, so to support a major key or a minor key harmonic system. And so we've been talking about, well, Ionian mode. It's the Ionian chord scale, I should say. The C Ionian chord scale would have 1, 9, 3, S4, 5, 13, 7, 1. So, certain notes are chord tones, 1, 3, 5, 7. And other notes are tensions, 9 and 13. And then certain notes are void notes because they don't help the harmony. They kind of clash with the harmony a little bit. So Dorian chord scale is for a 2 minor 7. Phrygian is for a 3 minor 7, etc. And those are going to be generally the chord scales that we use for these diatonic chords in a major key or minor key system. These happen to be the major key chord scales. All right. Now, if we can also talk about the modes themselves, because we're going to be talking about modal harmonies. We're going to be talking about writing a piece that's completely in a mode. So it might behoove us to think about start to think about the modes this way. So notice the numbers I've given are now, they don't have tension numbers, they don't have avoid notes or anything like that. This is just the pure version of each mode. Okay, and notice one thing to notice is that, of course, these are all the modes of C major, right? So they all have white keys in them, and that's all they have, because they're all permutations of the C major scale, for example. And one thing to notice is that, of course, the E to F is always going to be a half step, and the B to C. And that will help determine the sound of the mode, right? Wherever these half steps occur, it will determine the sound of the mode. For example, in Phrygian, look at the E to F half step is right here. So if we're in the Phrygian mode, so I was playing flat 2 to 1. So that semitone really has a strong effect in Phrygian because of the half step. If we look at Lydian, where are the half steps? B to C and E to F. So we kind of have E to F as, so E to F would be sort of a leading tone. That's a semitone here. And then what is this? This is a very important note in Lydian, and it leads up to F. So again, we have that half step that seems to make a really big difference in the sound of the mode. Aeolian mode, notice E to F, the flat 6 goes to the 5. So here's our Aeolian mode. That flat 6 to 5 is a half step that really determines the sound of that mode a lot. All right. So the next one I want to show is this here. So we can also think about parallel modes. Okay. Now these are all based on C. So what we've done is we've kind of taken the formula for Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixed Lydian, etc., and we've started all the scales on C. So this would be a parallel setup here. Parallel because they all have the same starting pitch, C, and then the formula changes from there. So this is a good slide to help you understand the difference between some of the modes. Ionian, of course, we give all the regular numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. But we can change that to Dorian by flatting the 3 and flatting the 7. Everything else stays the same. And we get the Dorian mode, right? We can change it to Phrygian by flatting the flat 2, flat 3, flat 6, flat 7, and 1. We can change the Lydian by taking the original major and raising the 4th. Mixed Lydian, we have the flat 7. It's just like major, but a flat 7. Aeolian, we have these 3 different flat notes, flat 3, flat 6, flat 7. This is all review for you guys, but I thought it might help us to launch into our next topic. All right, so those are the parallel modes. Okay, another way to think about the modes is how they're arranged from bright to dark. So if we take Ionian as kind of the standard here, it's all the notes of the C major scale. And to make it brighter, we can sharp. So when we talk about brighter, normally we're talking about raising something. And now we're raising the fourth here. To make Ionian a little bit darker, we can lower the seventh, make a flat 7, and then we get to the Mixolydian mode, right? These are all three part of the major modes because they have C, E, G, so they have a C major triad. They all share that, but then it just changes around a little bit from Ionian to Lydian to Mixolydian, but they all are basically major modes, right? All right. Likewise, if we take, but if we go from Mixolydian and then we flat another pitch, if we flat 3, then what we get is the Dorian mode, right? So we're getting darker and darker. Mixolydian gets a little darker, that's Dorian. A little bit darker still, that's Aeolian with the flat 3, flat 6, and flat 7. And Phrygian with a flat 2, flat 3, flat 6, and flat 7. Locrian also adds the flat 5. But I just want to mention that Locrian is almost never used as a tonic, so it'll very rarely be used as a modal system, Locrian tonic. Okay, and so these would be all the minor modes, right? They all have C minor in fact, they all have C minor 7 as the tonic chord in all three of these minor modes, right? So C, E flat, G, B flat. One's a little brighter. Dorian is brighter because it has the 6 instead of the flat 6. And then Phrygian is darker because it has the flat 2 in addition to all these flats that the Aeolian mode has. So, all right. Also, something to keep in mind is what we call characteristic pitches. So you see I've circled these pitches that make the modes sound different. So C Ionian has all these notes. What changes? Well, 4 moves to sharp 4. So this is going to be what we call our characteristic pitch of Lydian. That F sharp really defines Lydian, the sound of Lydian, right? Okay, if we compare Ionian and Mixolydian, notice that the only difference is the flat 7. So we're going to say that flat 7 is the characteristic pitch of Mixolydian. It's what makes Mixolydian sound like Mixolydian. And of course, 4 is going to be the characteristic pitch of Ionian because it's not sharp 4, so it's not Lydian. All right, and likewise with the minor modes, if we take Aeolian as kind of the constant here, we have this A flat, which is going to change to A natural when we're in the Dorian mode. So this would be a 6, right? So 6 is the characteristic pitch of Dorian. Flat 6 is the characteristic pitch of Aeolian. And then, of course, what changes when you get to Phrygian? As we said before, the flat 2 is different from Aeolian. So that's what's going to make this into a Phrygian mode. And so flat 2 is a characteristic pitch. I guess we could say flat 5 is the characteristic pitch of Locrian because it's not contained in any other of these modes. But okay, so that's going to be important when we start studying modal harmony. What are these characteristic pitches? So if you can try to remember that sharp 4, Lydian, 4, Ionian, Mixolydian is flat 7, Dorian is 6, Aeolian is flat 6, and Phrygian is flat 2. That will help you in your study of modal harmony.